All right, deep divers, you ready to decode cloud migration?
Let's do it.
We're diving into CloudBenders, this podcast episode that's packed with insights. And
It's a good one.
yeah, it really is. It's not just about like moving files around. It's way more than that.
Yeah, it's a complete mindset shift. It's like, when you try to just like cram all your stuff into a too small storage unit.
Oh, been there.
That's not cloud migration. This is about strategically moving to a whole new level.
Okay, so strategic is the key word here. And speaking of strategy, CloudBenders breaks down three main approaches. They call them rehosting, refactoring, and rearchitecting.
Catchy, right?
Yeah, almost sounds like a tech recipe book.
A little bit.
So break it down for us.
Okay, so rehosting. Imagine you're moving, right? And you just take everything as is and plop it into your new place. Same furniture, same layout, everything.
Easy peasy. But maybe not the best use of the new space, right?
Exactly. You're in the cloud, yeah. But are you really tapping into its potential? Probably not. Then you've got refactoring. Think of it like spicing up your furniture a little, maybe reupholstering before you move it in.
Okay, so you're making some upgrades, but not a complete overhaul.
Exactly. You're tweaking your applications, maybe swapping out an outdated database for something cloud-friendly. More work up front, yeah, but you're setting yourself up for a smoother, faster experience down the line.
Makes sense. So then re-architecting must be like the dream home renovation of cloud migration.
You got it. This is like designing and building your applications from the ground up, specifically for the cloud environment. Complex, definitely. Requires some serious cloud know-how.
But big potential payoff, right?
Huge. CloudBenders actually cited this case study where a company boosted their efficiency by 40% after re-architecting. 40%. That's insane.
All right, so we're talking serious results here. But I'm guessing before anyone jumps into re-architecting their entire system.
Hold your horses. Planning is key.
Right. It can't be as simple as just like hitting copy and paste.
Oh, I wish CloudBenders was super clear about this. You need a solid plan. Think of it like a pre-move checklist, only way more detailed and with like way higher stakes.
All right, so pre-move checklist, higher stakes. Where do we even start?
Well, according to CloudBenders, it all begins with a serious assessment. Like before you even think about packing boxes, you got to know what you've got, right?
Inventory time.
Exactly. Every server, every app, every database, you name it. You need a complete blueprint of your entire tech landscape.
And I'm guessing it's not just about knowing what you have, but also how it all fits together.
You got it. It's like you can't move a giant antique armoire if you don't know if it'll fit through the doorway.
Right.
Same with your applications and systems. You got to map out those dependencies, see how everything connects and interacts.
So you don't end up with a giant armoire stuck in the digital doorway. Got it.
Exactly. Now, once you've got that clear picture, it's time to talk goals.
Goals, right. Because moving to the cloud just because it's trendy is, well, maybe not the best strategy.
Not quite. CloudBenders really emphasize this point. You got to know your why. What are you hoping to achieve with this migration?
Lower costs, better performance, more flexibility. I'm guessing those were all on the table.
All of the above. Maybe you need a setup that can handle massive spikes in traffic. Or maybe you're just looking for a more cost-effective way to manage your data.
It's all about choosing the right tool for the job. And once you know your why, then you can start thinking about the where, right?
Exactly. Choosing your cloud provider.
So this is where we get into the AWS, Azure, Google Cloud debate.
It's a big decision. It's kind of like picking a neighborhood, Each one has its own vibe, its own perks, its own quirks.
So you're saying AWS might be the bustling city center, while Azure is more like a suburban campus.
Something like that. It all depends on your needs and priorities. Cost, security, specific services. You got to weigh your options carefully.
Tons to consider. But let's say you've nailed down your goals, you've picked your perfect cloud neighborhood. It's time to actually make the move. How do you go from a jumble of servers and data to a sleek, cloud-based setup?
That, my friend, is where a rock-solid migration plan comes in. CloudBenders was adamant about this.
So we're talking way more than just copying and pasting files into the cloud, right?
Way more. Think of it like planning a cross-country road trip. You don't just hit the gas and hope for the best. You map out your route, you plan your stops, you pack snacks.
And you make sure your GPS is working.
Exactly. With your migration plan, you're outlining each step of the process, setting timelines, assigning responsibilities, and having backup plans for, well, just in case. Because, let's face it, even with the best laid plans.
Things can and probably will go wrong.
Exactly. And that's why CloudBenders stress the importance of a testing environment. Think of it like a dress rehearsal for your big cloud debut.
So you're saying before we unleash our applications on the cloud, we get to test them out in a safe, controlled space.
Exactly. It's like a staging area for your big cloud migration performance. You can iron out any kinks, make sure everything integrates properly, and avoid any, shall we say, opening night disasters.
Much better to catch those glitches before the curtain goes up. But even with testing, even with the best plans, I'm guessing there are still bumps in the road, right?
Oh, absolutely. Cloud migration's complex. There's no getting around that. And CloudBenders didn't shy away from those potential pitfalls, those migration mishaps, as they called them.
And since we learn from our mistakes, or better yet, from other people's mistakes, let's talk about those mishaps. What's the biggest one we should watch out for?
Well, they said the most common pitfall is underestimating the complexity. It's easy to think, oh, we'll just move everything over, piece of cake, but
It's rarely that simple, is it?
rarely. You've got hidden dependencies, outdated code, integration challenges, things that don't rear their ugly heads until you're knee-deep in the migration process.
Like finding out your furniture doesn't actually fit in your new apartment, even though you measured, like, twice.
The worst. And that's why that initial assessment is so crucial. You got to unearth those potential problems before they turn into full-blown migration disasters.
So thorough planning, check. What else should we be prepared for?
Data transfer bottlenecks. Moving massive amounts of data, it's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, it's not like you can just attach a giant digital flash drive.
Right, I wish. You've got network bandwidth limitations, data transfer speeds, potential costs. It's a whole logistical operation.
So factor that into your planning, folks. Don't underestimate the time and resources needed to move all those ones and zeros.
Absolutely. And speaking of things that take time, even with a smooth data transfer, you're likely to experience some downtime during the actual migration.
Downtime, meaning our systems are offline, our websites are down, our customers are less than thrilled.
Let's just say it's not ideal. But CloudBenders emphasize the importance of minimizing that downtime as much as possible. Having a solid rollback plan is key.
So if things go south, you can quickly switch back to the old setup, minimize disruption, avoid any major meltdowns.
Exactly. It's like having a safety net for when, well, not if, but when things don't go exactly according to plan.
Because in the world of tech, and especially cloud migration, it's not a matter of if, but when those unexpected hiccups pop up.
Truth. And speaking of things that can trip you up, we can't forget about security.
Ah, yes, security. Moving to the cloud doesn't mean your data is magically protected.
Definitely not. In fact, it often means a whole new set of security considerations. You're dealing with a different environment, different protocols, different risks.
New city, new security system.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be on top of your access controls, your encryption, your compliance requirements. It's crucial to have a robust security strategy in place before, during, and after your migration.
Okay, so we've covered the potential pitfalls, the planning, the strategies, but the journey doesn't end once you've successfully migrated to the cloud, does it?
Oh, it's just the beginning. Migrating to the cloud, that's like getting your foot in the door. The real magic happens when you start exploring what's possible in this new environment.
Unlocking the full potential of the cloud. And CloudBenders had a lot to say about that, especially this thing called serverless computing. Honestly, it sounds a little too good to be true. Like computing without servers, is that even possible?
Well, it's not magic, but it's pretty close. Think of it like this. Instead of owning and maintaining all the infrastructure yourself, you basically rent it on demand.
So no more buying and managing expensive servers.
Not necessarily, but with serverless, you're only paying for the computing power you actually use. It's super flexible and cost-effective, especially for applications that have, those peaks and valleys in demand.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're not paying for idle servers just for the resources you're actively using. That's pretty smart. What else is in this cloud optimization toolkit?
Well, they talked a lot about managed services, which honestly is like a breath of fresh air for busy IT teams.
Managed services. So like having a team of cloud experts on call 24/7, but without actually having to, hire a whole team of cloud experts.
You got it. Think of it like outsourcing your IT headaches, database management, security monitoring, software updates.
Yeah.
The cloud provider handles all that stuff, freeing you up to focus on, more important things.
Like innovating, developing new products, maybe even taking an actual lunch break.
Exactly. It's all about working smarter, not harder, right? And then there's auto-scaling, which, in my opinion, is one of the coolest things about cloud computing.
Auto-scaling. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Like, My applications can just magically adapt to any situation.
Pretty much. It's like having a self-adjusting traffic system for your applications. During peak times, more resources are automatically allocated, so you don't get those dreaded slowdowns or crashes.
No more website meltdowns during a big sale. Sign me up. But of course, we can't talk cloud optimization without addressing the elephant in the room, cost management. That's got to be a major concern for businesses making the move.
Absolutely. CloudBenders didn't shy away from that at all. They were adamant about the importance of staying on top of your cloud spending. And the good news is, cloud providers offer a ton of tools and dashboards to track your costs, analyze your usage, and optimize your spending.
So it's not just a free-for-all once you're in the cloud. You actually have the power to control your costs and make smart decisions.
Exactly. It's all about visibility and control. And that, I think, is the key takeaway from this whole deep dive. Cloud migration, it's not about blindly following the latest tech trends. It's about making strategic decisions that align with your business goals, your budget, and your overall vision.
Couldn't agree more. It's been an amazing journey through the world of cloud migration, from the nitty-gritty details of rehosting versus rearchitecting to the mind-blowing possibilities of serverless computing and auto-scaling. It's clear that this isn't just a tech upgrade, it's a fundamental shift in how businesses can operate and thrive in the digital age.
Absolutely. And to our listeners out there, whether you're just starting to dip your toes into the cloud or you're knee-deep in a migration project, remember this: it's a marathon, not a sprint. Take your time, do your research, ask questions, and don't be afraid to seek out expert guidance along the way. The cloud has the potential to be a game changer for your business, but only if you approach it strategically and thoughtfully.
So true. As you continue on your cloud journeys, we leave you with this. If your tech setup could magically adapt to your needs, what would that look like? And how can the cloud help you turn that vision into a reality? Until next time, deep divers, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep on diving deep.